Hello guys, welcome back to a new tutorial series of Android SQLite tutorial. In this tutorial series, I will demonstrate all the database operations like insertion, deletion, updation, creation of table, etc. using a complete Android application. So you can easily understand the SQLite database because I demonstrate all the databases operation based on a complete Android application. Here you can see the structure of that particular Android application that we are going to create. Here it contains 4 buttons. First button is for login, second button for register a new user, and third button for the update information, and the final button for delete user. So whenever you click the login button, it will ask for enter the username and enter password, and you can log in here. That means you can access your database to login. And when you click the register button, here you need to enter your username and you have to enter your password, and you need to confirm your password, and you can register on this page. And on this update, by clicking the update info button, it will lead you to again to the login page. Here you need to log in, and if you are login success, then you have to enter a new username and you can update the database. And finally, you can delete a particular row from the database by using the delete user button. So here again you need to log in to delete your account. If the login is success, you need to enter your password to delete your account. So by clicking the delete account button, you can delete your account from this Android application. So that is our aim on this tutorial series. So now we have to create now I am going to demonstrate what are the preparation to create the database and create the database table. So first you have to create your database. First you have to create the contents of your table. So create a new Java class. I name the Java class as table. I name it as table data, and click finish. Now the class is created. First I have to create an empty constructor, a default constructor. So public table data is a default constructor. Okay, just create a default constructor to avoid accidental object creation of this class. So now I have to create an inner class. Public static abstract is an abstract class. Public static abstract class. Public static abstract class. I named the class as table info. And here I'm going to implement this class using the base column interface. Implement the base column interface. So by implement the base column interface, your inner class, here the table info class, will inherit a primary key field called ID. That is not necessary, but it is sometimes it is required by some cursor adapter classes. So this is the recommended way of initializing your table column names. So here I am going to initialize the column names. Here I am going to initialize all the column names variables here. First column name is the username, so I create the variable public final string, create key for the first column name. So public final string username, that is the first column in our database table. So public final string username, I initialize this string with the value username. This one is the actual name of the column on our table. This is act as a key, and the second column name is the user password. So final string and final string. I change it as static variable, public static. So public static final string, final string. The second column name is user password. So it is a user pass, and initialize that variable with the value user pass. Okay, now put a semicolon to end this declaration. Okay, now we have to define our database name and table name. So public static final final string, public static final string. First is the database name, database name. I name the database as user info. I name the database as user info. Now we have to create a variable for our table name. So public static final string table name equal to, I name the table as register info, reg info. Okay, save it. Okay, now we finish all the declaration of our table contents. I just create an inner class called the table info, and that contain our table column names and our database name and our table name. Okay, now we have to create the database and table. So I have to create another Java class. I name the Java class as database operations. I name the class as database operations, and browse for a superclass. That superclass is SQLite open helper. That is the class name, SQLite open helper. Okay, and click finish. Now we got the class, and here you can see we got two override method called onCreate and onUpcreate. There are we got two override method called onCreate and onUpcreate. Also you have to add a constructor here. So I just add a constructor here, and that constructor contain some arguments called the cursor factory, version, and your database name and an object of the context. We don't know this, we just need the context object only. So I just remove all other arguments. We just need the context object only. So now we have to create our database here. So first I have to create an integer that declare the database version. So I declare an integer public static final int database version equal to 1. I just initialize the database version as 1, and final integer variable. Okay, now we can create the database on this method called the database operation. So you can just invoke the superclass method using the super keyword. So in this method you can create your database. So we just invoke the SQLite open helper constructor using the super keyword. You have to pass 4 arguments, a context object, your database name, and cursor factory and version. Okay, you can get your database name from this class called table info. So you can call this variable using that class name called the table info. So here I call the database name variable table info, refer that abstract class name. That class name is table info dot that database name variable called database name. And here we not using any cursor factory object, so I pass null instead of it. I just pass null. And here you need to pass your database version. Here the database version is on the variable called database version integer variable. Okay, now we successfully create our database. We just successfully create our database now. Okay, now we have to create our table. We can create our table on this method called onCreate, and you can create your table using an object of SQLite database class. So here we already got an argument, an object of SQLite database. I changed the object name as SDB. So now we have to create now we have to create the query to create the table on our database. We have to create the command for creating the database. So I create a string variable here, public string create query. The query is much same as other databases like MySQL or SQL Server. So here is the create query statement: create table. Table name, we got the table name from this variable called table name, so we can call this variable. Here the table name is reg info. Okay, here the table name is reg info. So create table. Now we can call the table name variable on that class. And now you need to provide the data type. So the class name is table info dot provide the table name. Here the variable is table name. Now you have to specify the data type on the first column. You have to specify the data type for the first column. Sorry, first we have to declare the first column name. Our first column name is the username. Our first column name is the username. So we have to refer that using table info, the class name table info dot. Our first column name is username, so call that variable. Now close the variables section using the plus operator. Now we have to specify the data type. Here the data type is text, and you have to put a comma operator between two column declarations. And now we have to specify the second column name. Our second column name is table info dot user pass table info dot user pass. That is our second column name. Okay, that is the second column name, user pass. Now we have to specify the data type for the second column name. Here the second column name is also a text type, so I just specify the data type as text. Now we have to close the brackets of column declaration, and you have to end the query using a semicolon. And now we have to end our statement on this class using a semicolon. Okay, so this is the query to create table on our SQLite database. This is just create a table and just use the table name, and you have to specify the two column names and its data type. Don't forget to add a comma operator between the two column names. Okay, now we have to execute that query here using the SQLite database object. So I use that object dot. We have to use the method called execute SQL, and you have to pass that query here. Okay, now we successfully, so whenever we execute this method, our database, our table automatically created. There is no need to override, there is no need to call these methods. These are override method and invoked automatically. So now I have to specify some logcat message to check the status of our database operation. So I create a statement here, log.d. You have to specify a tag here. I specify the tag as database operations. Now you have to specify your message here. Here the message is we successfully create the database created, and also I put the same logcat message on the table creation after the table creation statement here. Table created, or one row inserted, sorry, table is here, the table is created, so table created. Okay, now we successfully completed the database and table creation. Now go to the second part of this tutorial.